How's it going, everybody? Whoops. Let's turn up that volume. How does that sound? A little better? So, still in Daniel 3. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent and the furnace exceeding hot, the flames of the fire slew those men that had taken up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and threw them into the fire. Again, the earth is supernatural, justice served. And these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down, bound in the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and he rose up in haste, and spake and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast three men bound in the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see four men loose, walking in the midst of the fire. Remember, there was only three of them in there, right? Hmm. And they have no hurt. And the form of the fourth is like the Son of God. So that's Jesus in there with them. Jesus in the Old Testament, which they say he was in the burning bush and much else. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth. Basically, any time that God was speaking to man, that it was Jesus. That's a theory. Anyway, then Nebuchadnezzar came near. Remember, they're all the same. It's the sovereign God creating characters, playing roles. Old Testament God, New Testament God. New Testament God has a name. It's Jesus. Old Testament God, it's written in many different ways, uh, and is said in many different ways, just like Jesus had many different forms of his name. The truth, the way. Um, there's the Ancient of Days for God. Both refer to themselves as the I am. So there's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Speak, the Old Testament names. So there's many names. All right. Anyway, then Nebuchadnezzar came near the mouth of the burning fiery furnace and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High God, come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire. And the princes and the governors and the captains and the counselors being gathered together saw these men, upon whose bodies the fire had no power. Again, the earth is supernatural, nor was an hair of their head singed, neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire had passed on them. What am I hearing? Anyway, all right, let's move on in Luke 19. Then came the first, saying, Lord, thy pound, oh boy, what a parable this one is. Thy pound have gained 10 pounds. So this all has to do with people that the Lord uses after he's baptized them with the Holy Spirit and how they feed the sheep. And he said unto him, Well, thou good servant, because thou hast been faithful in very little, have thou authority over 10 cities to speak the truth. And the second came, saying, Lord, thy pound have gained 5 pounds. And he said likewise to him, Be thou over 5 cities. And another came, saying, Lord, behold, here is your pound back, which I just kept to myself, laid it in a napkin. In other words, wasn't light, wasn't salt. For I feared thee because thou art an austere man, Thou takest up that thou layest not down, and reapest thou where you didn't sow. And he said unto him, Out of thine own mouth will I judge thee, thou wicked servant. Thou knewest that I was an austere man, taking up, basically reaping where I didn't sow and sowing where I didn't reap, or something like that. And let's severe or strict manner, attitude or appearance. So Jesus is saying, Oh, so you knew I was a really strict, mean man? Taking up that I laid not down, and reaping that I did not sow. Mm. Wherefore then gavest not my money into the bank, that at my coming I might have required mine own with usury. So at least I could have made a little interest off of it. Could have been put in the bank. And he said unto them that stood by, Take from him the pound, and give it to him that have 10 pounds. And they said unto him, Lord, he hath 10 pounds. Good Lord willing, we will continue with the rest of that study on the morrow. I'm glad you're here. I love you very much. Ask questions anytime. That's what I'm here for.